At the last check, every part of the country is experiencing one threat or the other as the number of needless killings and displaced persons continue to rise. Several communities have been sacked in Zamfara and Niger states, and Governor Abubakar Sani Bello seems helpless as the faces of weeping women and children become a burden. Kaduna State in the northwest has recorded at least 10 deaths this week. Down south, the River State is flowing with the blood of security operatives. 10 of them have been killed just this week. In Imo State, the story is not too different as police facilities have been attacked, leaving 2 lifeless bodies of officers. Now, the latest is the killing of 7 persons in Abagana community in Makurdi local government area of Benue State. When will Nigeria's woeful tale of insecurity end? Joining me in the studio is Kelechi Obiakwata, Managing Director, El Salabel Logistics and Security Services Limited. And joining me via Skype from Abuja is Gbenro Olajuigbe, Executive Director, Emergency and Risk Alert. Gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's a pleasure being with you.
Thank you so much. Let me begin with you, Gbenro Olajuigbe. The situation, like we have painted, is somewhat a woeful tale, and a lot of Nigerians are wondering when will it end, because what they want from the government is seemingly not that much. They just want to have a safe and secure environment. But let's begin with developments from yesterday. We saw what happened at the Senate and even the House of Reps, and we saw the president in a meeting where he asked that AFRICOM be relocated to Africa with the security situation, not just in Nigeria, but also across the Sahel, West Africa, and even the Lake Chad Basin. I wonder what you make of that.
Yeah, I've seen all those things. Let me equally state here that what happened in Benue State is exceptionally gory. Of course, these are people that have been displaced. They were again killed at the IDP camp. It violates all law of armed conflict, humanitarian law. It violates everything that is connected to humanity. And it's unfortunate that that could happen in Nigeria. But having said that, all these killings will not stop until the president step up his game. And of course, when he was talking with the Secretary of State yesterday discussing, his contest was Africa reading. But for God's sake, President Muhammadu Buhari is not the president of Africa when it comes to addressing this specific issue. He had opportunity to speak about the Nigerian context and situations and expectation from the United States. What he did was not good enough in the sense that he was requesting for relocation of AFRICOM from Germany. That is not the issue. The issue now, President Buhari should have emphasized on the situation in Nigeria and go ahead to inform the Secretary of State because of the urgency of the matter. He is going to release him to meet with him in Washington, and later on, he personally would like to meet with the President of America in order to see the type of support that could be offered to Nigeria. You cannot predicate. It's not your geography is well known. Maybe at the level of academic gymnastics, you can be building scenarios on an African context. But what we are facing is existential. We are facing immediate and imminent danger.
Right.
And that should be the uppermost concern of the president, so that his word is clear, his request from the United States is clear, or wherever he wants to make such requests. Right. It should not be ambiguous. It should not be ambivalent about what he needs, the type of help he needs.
All right, we need to bring the conversation. All right, we need to bring the conversation to the studio. Kelechi, I wonder if you see that conversation the president had with the U.S. Secretary of State has been ambiguous and not specific enough to addressing the situation? Because a lot of persons are hopeful and are believing that, we're eventually seeking help and the president has bowed to pressure.
Yeah, on the face of it, it will appear that the president was trying to address our present predicament. However, if you analyze it further, he wasn't very specific. I mean, an American is far away from Nigeria. The president was not able to tell him the situations here that will make him reason that, yes, what he's saying is obviously important and needed urgently, a desideratum. But the president was having an African view, so the man from America would think of Africa instead of thinking of Nigeria. But we Nigerians are totally concerned about the present security situation in this nation. You can imagine that almost the whole geopolitical zones are rounded up. And the president is talking about Africa. Yes, there are issues, around Africa, especially in, Central Africa and West Africa. But notwithstanding, Nigeria is heavily affected more than any of these nations, because if you look at population of Nigeria comparing to these nations, they're nothing to write home about compared to what will happen if Nigeria implodes in the present security situation we have. So the president should have been specific enough to talk about his national problem, not the African issue. I know that Nigeria is always out there to talk about the
position itself as the big brother of
Africa.
Yeah.
But we're dying, instrumentally as a nation. And if care is not taken, there'll be another big brother, for Africa outside Nigeria if what is in the offing happens, because Nigeria will be nowhere, to be found, because the whole country will implode and there will be disaster everywhere. So I don't know when that time comes, what would have become of Nigeria. So I expected the president to talk about Nigerian problem, not African problem, with that opportunity he had.
But coming back to you, Gbenro, even the UK minister said that the situation, the security situation in Nigeria is quite a complex one and no amount of collaboration can address it. So I wonder what you make of that. Perhaps that might be what the president has seen.
What he painted is contextual. Contextual in the sense that if you look at the root causes of the problem, of course, we are talking of addressing it immediately because of the impact on the people presently. The problem of Nigerian crisis is very complex. We have written on this. We have developed a policy brief on this. But the fact is that you have to look at this is conflict of violence that is being driven by inequality, driven by poverty, driven by uneven development, and of course, lately, opportunistic driver like nepotism, like religiosity, or whichever you want to look at it. The problem is very complex, but as complex as it is, it can be solved. It can be resolved. That is why we have been advocating for both military and non-military action so as to engage the problem. What happens when you have a problem like this is this. You don't want to do harm. And the only way not to do harm is to understand the context of the problem. Nigerian government does not pay attention to the context of our problem. And I said this on this medium yesterday, that the issue of a clash between the government and IPOB or other separatist group should not have arisen in the first place if you have a government that appreciates the fact that the whole essence why government retain monopoly of violence is to check it, not to use it recklessly against this or against our own citizens. These are problems that could be solved at the table of dialogue that have been ignored. Of course, there will be disenchantment. It's normal. There's no country that you don't have disenchantment from citizens. And when such issue arise, you don't use a hammer to kill flies. What you do is that you have to be open in the first place. You have to know that of course these people are complaining of inequality. They are complaining of uneven access to opportunities in a country where they are citizens. What do? Do you deploy military against them? No. You call them, you create a conducive atmosphere for dialogue, for negotiation, atmosphere to share, to look at diverse and different perspectives. But then this government particularly has it has stood on one edge of policy direction, and that policy direction is that you can't negotiate, you can't speak what is contrary to government policy. That has been the issue, and that has been the basis of this problem. You want to have your way, and upon that, the people cannot see a just and democratic governance in your practice.
Right.
In the sense that they are change, in the sense that their people are not inclusive. The government is not inclusive. Even if you take the military appointments alone, you cannot see inclusivity is missing in the government.
Right.
And this will continue to be fertile ground for disenchantment and of course for conflict, violent agitation, and separatist ideas.
All right.
We thrive on this.
Okay, Kelechi, I'm reacting to what he has said. He's talked about military and non-military measures to addressing these issues. I wonder if that is where it is something you support as well to addressing these matters, because if you look, we are losing our security personnel as well when they're coming to address the issues in our society. How do we also use the non-military measures? You talk about having a conversation, negotiating our unity, because everybody is talking about having their independent state and feeling not being carried along. If we have that table, we once had a conversation. Where did that lead us? What has that brought to the table? I wonder how you see this.
I look at it by going to problem-solving steps. First of all, you identify a problem, you define it, you state it clearly, and you start looking for solutions to those problems. You also look for alternative solutions,
Yes.
within the solutions you found. Okay? Then when you identify that, you understand, you will adopt a solution to that problem and you implement it. You evaluate the outcomes. So I want to ask, our government, have they identified the problem? Because they've been, fighting in all fronts, assuring Nigerians of, being in charge. There'll be security. No, the president keep making comments.
Yes.
The commander-in-chief of Armed Forces of Nigeria, when there's any security situation, breaking news, you see him, he will comment. But Nigerians have not been able to see any cogent or equivalent action from the presidency. It's just, what the presidency or the National Security Force is doing is they are reacting to this situation. There's no proactive.
So you feel they haven't identified the problem?
They don't know exactly. If they know, then somebody is not.
But because the vice president is quoted as saying that the current level of insecurity in the country is because of the difficulty in policing it.
Yeah, but
isn't that one part of the problem?
But that's a problem identified. Then why don't we study that difficulty, which is the problem? Have we studied why it is difficult to police the problem identified? There are so much gaps here and there. But joining the situation, what my colleague just discussed, the non-military solution to these problems. You see, it's like we are fighting terror in this country, and it's an asymmetric warfare. It doesn't have a particular war front. It comes from all angles. And if you observe, it's coming from all geopolitical zones right at the same time happening. So what is more important, like I said, identify the problem, then get into the people. If we identify this problem properly, take for instance, let me take Benue. If you take Benue State and you know that, okay, it is this pastoralists or herdsmen or whatever that are disturbing them, where are they coming from? What is their route? What kind of arms, do you understand, do they possess? At what point do they attack? Where do they station? You understand? by the time you ask these questions, you'll be able to know. And I expect that government having the force, having the intelligence, having the equipment, you understand, should be able to frontally attack this problem. Then the indigents also should be armed not necessarily with guns and bullets, but with information, with intelligence. Take, for instance, if there have been education or training to indigents, also identify strangers in your midst. So that, because there could be recognizance, people could come in to check out how the people are, staying or living and all that, and the next thing you see the attacks. If there is this information on the part of indigent citizens to identify strangers in their midst and report, observe and report, and of course, when they report, there should be response. If these people are taken at their positions, wherever they are located, you see that they will recede. But the problem is that the spaces are left open. There is no solution. When there is an attack, there is breaking news, then you hear a comment and a reaction to that. There is no plan to actually take out insurgents, kidnapping, or whatever. Everything is like they've taken the space of Nigeria. Nobody is after them. But if the government is actually interested in this, in providing solution to our problem, what the governor of Benue State is saying should happen, there should be a security summit. The National Security Council should be interested, because we are in a state of emergency. Nobody needs to call for state of emergency. We're already in a state of emergency. People cannot travel. Are you with me? You can't go on a long distance journey. Okay? People cannot go to farm. People cannot even go to school. If you have a child in school anywhere, your heart is sinking, beating her, because nobody knows where next these people could go to attack, the soft targets and all that. Markets cannot, they cannot trade in the market, peacefully. There is insecurity in all spheres of our national life. So there is national, security emergency, and I expect the National Security Council to sit to this and find solution to it. Of course, the National Assembly is, they have become very emotional about it. And I think at this point in time, something needs to happen. If truly we have a government that is interested in the security of lives and properties.
Right. Let's get your final Ogbinro on this matter. The Senate is saying that perhaps we should look at recruiting 5,000 security personnel, and they're also saying that the president should look at calling a state of emergency.
Well, I think it's a it's a shallow option. It's not about whether you recruit 10,000 or not at this stage now. You have borrowed money. Many have been recruited, even surreptitiously, through the through the civilian JTF before, another one. The issue now is that the president, although I wouldn't know whether it's late now, how to build national community of citizens, where citizens don't see themselves as enemies. Now, the gulf is wide along ethnic, along religious line. But then, nothing is too late at times when you have a willing and able government. If you have a government that is willing and able and unable, you can still help the government by building capacity. But if you have government that is unwilling and is unable, that is a tragedy. There's nothing you can do about that. In this government, I've not seen the willingness and I've not seen the ability. The capacity is not there. And that is why I'm saying that whoever can help Nigeria within and without should be summoned. There's no shame in it. If you don't, when you have a problem like this that is consuming your nation, you should be concerned how to develop templates for progress. We are stuck in a place as if there is no ideas of what to do. That is the issue. People can bring the ideas to resolve this problem urgently and now, because people are facing very severe, dear existential problem. And we can resolve it together if the government is willing and, of course, want to surrender to inclusivity principle that involve everybody, so that we begin to have a new Nigeria that is not torn apart by
we'll have to leave the conversation here. Gbero Olajigbe, Executive Director, Emergency and Risk Alert, thank you for speaking with us. All right, Kelechi Obiakwata, maybe you have a final word quickly.
Okay. Just to say that the security situation in the country is very precarious and it's unfortunate, but something could be done about it. There is need to sit down on the round table and evaluate properly what the problems are, because problem identified is problem half solved.
Right.
So if we find ourselves in this precarious situation, we need to ask questions and provide answers, and that will help us to solve our security
and move
problems.
forward.
Yeah.
All right, Managing Director, El Sarabel Logistics and Security Services Limited, Kelechi Obiakwata, thank you for your time.
You're welcome.